Voyager 1 has been cruising through space for over 45 years, way past the planets it was meant to study originally, now sending back data from interstellar space, and recently scientists got a strange signal from it. It's unlike anything they've seen before. Normally Voyager picks up things like cosmic rays or solar wind, but this new signal is consistent and strange enough to make researchers wonder if it's coming from some kind of unknown object. It's not just random noise, it repeats, so what could it be? Well, the signal is strong, and again, it's steady, which means it's possible it could be something built, maybe by an advanced alien civilization. Some say it could be some sort of lighthouse, essentially, floating in space designed to send out signals. Voyager 1 is super far away, about 22.5 billion kilometers, and its instruments weren't designed for this kind of research. Plus, the data can get messy from cosmic interference. NASA's mission team is going slow, carefully checking everything before jumping to any conclusions. If this really is alien technology, though, it would obviously be one of the biggest discoveries ever. It could completely change how we think about alien life in the universe and open up a whole new chapter for space exploration. Fingers crossed. This is pretty cool. Back in June of 2024, astronomers in Australia thought they'd caught one of the rarest, most mysterious signals in the universe, a fast radio burst, or FRB. Now, FRBs are insanely powerful blasts of radio waves that usually come from billions of light years away. We still don't know for sure what causes them. This one lasted just 30 nanoseconds, but it was so strong it drowned out everything else in the sky. Naturally, scientists were hyped. Turns out, this mystery from deep space came from a dead NASA satellite launched in 1964 called Relay 2, which stopped working in the mid-60s and has just been drifting around ever since. It's part of space history, said researcher Clancy James. We're also sure this wasn't an intentional transmission. So basically, the satellite systems couldn't have made that signal on its own, even when it was brand new. So how did it happen? The team's best guess is either electrostatic discharge, which is basically the space version of rubbing your socks on the carpet and zapping yourself, or they think it could be a micrometeorite hit, a tiny speck of space dust smashing into the satellite at crazy high speeds, creating a burst of energy. Problem is, neither explanation perfectly matches what they saw. The burst was too short and just too weird, so at this point, they're still not sure. In 2022, astronomers picked up a strange object, now called ASCAP J1-832-0911, sitting about 15,000 light years away. Every 44 minutes, like clockwork, it switches on for 2 minutes and blasts out radio waves. The first signals were caught by Australia's ASCAP telescope. NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory happened to be looking at the exact same spot and found it wasn't just radio waves. This thing was shooting out X-rays as well. That's a first for this type of object, known as an LPT, or long period transient. Basically, a space object that sends out regular bursts of energy, sometimes hours apart. Over the next few months, scientists kept watching and saw something they'd never seen before in our galaxy. The X-rays and radio waves started fading away. No one knows why. This object is unlike anything we've seen before, said Dr. Ziteng Wang from Curtin University. Scientists have some theories, but nothing concrete. As co-author Dr. Tongo Bao said, though, finding a mystery like this isn't frustrating. It's what makes science exciting. On January 9th, 2024, China launched the Einstein Probe, an X-ray hunting space telescope. Leading the study was Dr. Wenda Zheng, a researcher from the National Astronomical Observatory. Even before the probe officially got to work, it started finding some weird stuff. About 60 powerful space explosions, nearly 500 flares from stars, and a gamma ray blast from way back in the early universe. But one event really stood out, EP240408A. It wasn't a supernova, a gamma ray burst, or any of the usual suspects. Instead, telescopes caught a sudden blast of high-energy X-rays, with no visible light at all. Whatever caused it was powerful enough to register on X-ray detectors, but invisible to the naked eye. Oh, and at one point it blasted out a 12-second flare that was 300 times brighter than its usual glow. and I mean bright in X-ray terms. Detectors that measure X-rays saw a huge spike, but human eyes or regular cameras still couldn't see anything. But what was this thing? Well, according to Dr. Zhang's team, they think it could be something entirely new. Astronomers recently found something pretty strange while digging through 13 years of data from NASA's Fermi Gamma Ray Space Telescope. They spotted a gamma ray signal coming from outside our Milky Way, and they hadn't even been looking for it. Alexander Kalichki, part of the team behind the find, called it a, quote, completely serendipitous discovery. We found a much stronger signal and in a different part of the sky than the one we were looking for, end quote. The signal shows a dipole pattern, basically more gamma rays coming from one side of the sky and fewer from the other. This is similar to a pattern seen in the cosmic microwave background, which is leftover light from the Big Bang. But this one is 10 times stronger and pointed way off from where it should be. What makes it even more interesting is that it lines up with where another mystery shows up: ultra-high energy cosmic rays. These are supercharged particles zooming through space, and since 2017, the Pierre Auger Observatory has been tracking them. The gamma rays and cosmic rays, they seem to be coming from the same spot, so what's behind it all? That's the mystery. Astronomers finally figured out the source of a weird repeating radio signal that's been puzzling them since it was first noticed last year. The signal pulses every 2 hours and comes from a strange binary system called ILTJ 1101, about 1600 light years away in the direction of the Big Dipper. What's causing it? A dead star called the White Dwarf and its red dwarf companion. The White Dwarf has an extremely strong magnetic field. As the two stars orbit each other closely, the White Dwarf's magnetic field interacts with the material from the Red Dwarf, producing powerful bursts of radio waves. The signal was first spotted in data from 2015 by Iris de Ruyter from the University of Sydney. She found 6 more pulses after that first one, all spaced out by exactly 2 hours. These pulses lasted seconds to minutes and look similar to fast radio bursts, but they're way less energetic and much slower. The pair whip around each other every 125.5 minutes, and the Red Dwarf's back and forth movement matches the timing of the pulses perfectly. The team used telescopes in Arizona and Texas to break down the light from the Red Dwarf and confirm this. They're now planning to study the system's ultraviolet light to learn more about how these two stars interact. More than 60 years after the search for extraterrestrial intelligence officially began with Project Ozma in 1960, scientists are still scanning the skies for signs of alien life. NASA veteran Richard H. Stanton carried out a multi-year search of over 1,300 stars using a small telescope in California. Instead of listening for radio waves like most SETI projects, he looked for super fast flashes of light that he figured could be signs of laser communication from possibly alien civilizations. On May 14, 2023, Stanton spotted something odd from a star called HD 89389, about 100 light years away. He detected 2 nearly identical flashes, just 4.4 seconds apart. The star's light got brighter, then dimmer, then brighter again, all within 0.2 seconds. Stanton said, "How do you make a star over 1,000,000 kilometers across partially disappear in a tenth of a second?" Digging through old data, Stanton found a similar pulse from 2019 around another sun-like star, 51 Pegasi, the first star known to host an exoplanet. That earlier signal was dismissed as bird interference, but now that explanation may not hold up. Whether this is alien technology or some unknown natural phenomenon is still a mystery, but Stanton wants to use multiple telescopes spaced apart to track these pulses better. July 18, 2025, NASA astronaut Nicole Vapor Ayers snapped a stunning photo of a rare lightning-related event called a Sprite from the International Space Station, which orbits about 250 miles above Earth. Sprites are a type of transient luminous event, or TLE, brief flashes of red light that shoot up into the upper atmosphere above thunderstorms. Ayers explained on social media, sprites happen above the clouds and are triggered by intense electrical activity and the thunderstorms below, end quote. These things are pretty wild to see. NASA says sprites are some of the most visually striking and least understood electrical phenomena in our atmosphere. What makes Ayers Ayer's photo so impressive is that the sprite was massive, blazing above the clouds over Mexico and the United States, with city lights glowing below. I mean, just look at the images, it's amazing. NASA's also been running the Sprite-tacular Citizen Science Project, encouraging people on the ground to share their photos of sprites to help figure them out. And Ayer says, "We have a great view above the clouds, so scientists can use these types of pictures to better understand the formation, characteristics, and relationship of TLEs to thunderstorms." So there's this weird thing happening with spacecraft flying past Earth. You might remember the Pioneer anomaly from about 10 years ago. That's when the Pioneer 10 and 11 spacecraft, which were zooming out of the solar system, started acting a little strange. They seemed to be pulled a tiny bit toward the sun, kind of like an invisible force was tugging on them. Now, NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory astronomer John Anderson and his team found something similar with other spacecraft. 5 out of 6 deep space probes, including Galileo, Rosetta, Cassini, and Near, all showed weird speed changes during their Earth flybys. These craft either sped up or slowed down just a smidge compared to what was expected. Anderson said, "I am feeling both humble and perplexed by this. There is something very strange going on with spacecraft motions. We have no convincing explanation." End quote. The one probe without the oddity, Messinger, flew past Earth with a very symmetrical path around the equator. Anderson thinks the anomaly might be connected to Earth's rotation, because the other weird flybys had incoming and outgoing paths that weren't balanced around the equator. These craft are on unbound orbits, meaning they aren't stuck orbiting Earth or the Sun, but are heading off into space, which is pretty rare. Anderson suspects that when spacecraft do this, something odd might happen that current physics just doesn't explain. He and his team are still digging, planning to check Rosetta's next Earth flyby on November 13th of 2025, and even thinking about a dedicated mission to study this mystery. As Montana State physicist Ronald Hellings said, "There's definitely something going on. Whether it's new physics or a modeling problem is still unknown." The Black Knight satellite is a strange object that's been part of space lore since the 50s. It first caught attention when strange radio signals were picked up by amateur radio operators in early satellite. Then in the early 60s, NASA astronauts aboard missions like Gemini and later the Space Shuttle spotted unidentified objects in orbit that some thought could be this so-called satellite. The story goes the Black Knight has been orbiting Earth for about 13,000 years. Some people think it's an alien probe left here to watch us, which is why the signals and photos don't match any known spacecraft or space debris. But folks at NASA usually write it off as space debris. Thermal blankets lost during missions and stuff like that, but it's a fun idea. An ancient alien satellite that's been observing us for thousands of years for who knows what reason.
Up we have Oumuamua. Oumuamua is a mysterious interstellar object that was discovered in 2017. It's the first interstellar object ever detected passing through our solar system. It's an unusual shape. It's elongated, almost like a cigar. Now, one of the most intriguing aspects of Oumuamua is its acceleration. This thing is pretty fast. As it moved away from the sun, it experienced a slight acceleration that couldn't be explained by the gravitational forces alone. Something's happening here. Now, some scientists have proposed that this acceleration could be due to outgassing, a process that comets undergo when they are heated by the sun. Now, this has led to some more exotic theories, such as the possibility that Oumuamua could be an artificial object, perhaps a piece of alien technology. While this idea is out of this world, it has sparked a lot of debate and discussion among scientists and the public. Do we think this interstellar object is man-made or alien-made? Comment down below. The cryptic alien signals. NASA has been capturing evidence of extraterrestrial life for quite some time. The James Webb Space Telescope's ability to detect faint signals from distant worlds raises the possibility of discovering signs of intelligent life. And I don't mean us, because we're not that intelligent. The unknown is what is terrifying here. If we were to detect a signal from an extraterrestrial civilization, we would have no idea what their intentions are. What do they want with us? Is that beneficial to learning what's out there, or is this the potential for miscommunication? Language and communication are quite complex, especially when you're an alien. Misinterpreting a signal could lead to unintended consequences, potentially escalating tensions or even triggering a conflict, an outer world conflict. That sounds like Independence Day. That's terrifying. The discovery of extraterrestrial life would raise profound ethical questions, such as how to respond, how to communicate, and of course, how to protect both ourselves and the extraterrestrial civilization. The face on Mars. Now, this famous image captured by the Viking 1 orbiter back in 1976 initially appeared to show a human-like face on the Martian surface. Talk about terrifying. The face on Mars has become a focal point for conspiracy theorists who claim that it's evidence of an ancient civilization that was destroyed by some sort of catastrophic event. Some even believe that the face is a warning to humanity about the dangers of nuclear war. Now, this has become a cultural phenomenon. The face on Mars has been referred in countless books, movies, TV shows, you name it. It has become a symbol of human curiosity and our desire to explore the unknown. Now, this has also been a reminder of our own mortality. Of course, the idea that this advanced civilization could have once existed on Mars only to be wiped out, well, that's a sobering reminder of our own fragility. It raises questions about the future of humanity and possibly of our own extinction. And now we have the Hand of God. This X-ray image captured by NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory shows a pulsar wind nebula that resembles a giant cosmic hand. It's like the final villain in Smash Bros. Can't beat that guy. The Hand of God is a remnant of a supernova explosion, a cataclysmic event that can outshine entire galaxies. The intense radiation could actually take out all life forms, and yes, NASA should be very worried about this. Space is absolutely terrifying. I would never step foot out there ever. Space is a hostile environment for human life. We shouldn't be out there. The vacuum of space, extreme temperatures, harmful radiation, you name it. I'm not sure why something that could literally take out humans is being named as the Hand of God, but whatever, we'll take it. The light we see from the Hand of God today has traveled for thousands of years, giving us a glimpse, really, into the past. Next, we have the doorway on Mars. In 2022, NASA's Curiosity rover captured an intriguing image of a rock formation on Mars that resembled a doorway. A doorway to where? To who? This peculiar feature, located on Mount Sharp, sparked widespread curiosity and of course fueled speculation of the potential signs of ancient Martian civilizations. The doorway appeared to be a rectangular opening, roughly 12 inches tall and 16 inches wide, carved into the Martian rock. The doorway on Mars has become a focal point for conspiracy theorists. Of course, they all claim that this is evidence of an ancient civilization that once inhabited the planet. Some even believe that the doorway is a portal to another dimension or some sort of secret underground base. Is it possible that us humans lost a lot of these advanced technologies? What is teleporting through time or dimensions used to be normal for these civilizations? This is pretty deep and it's lots to think about, so comment all your theories down below. Moving on, let me take you back to 2022. NASA released a sonification of the Perseus cluster, translating the pressure waves emitted by the supermassive black hole at its center into sound. Yeah, now we can hear black holes. We're in the future, folks. The result is a deep, haunting hum that can be unsettling to many. Is this even happening? How is this possible? The fact that we're able to have recordings of something like this is actually insane to me and my human brain. We're talking about the sounds in a potential black hole. At the heart of the Perseus cluster lies a supermassive black hole, millions of times more massive than that of our sun. Now, this black hole is capable of swallowing entire stars and emitting powerful jets of energy. Galaxies within the Perseus cluster are consistently colliding and merging, creating chaotic and destructive events that reshape the cosmic landscape. It's going to be just a matter of time before it collides with Earth, and then at that point, well, we'll just simply vanish forever. Next up, we have the NGC 2467, also known as the Skull Nebula. It's a fascinating celestial object, and by fascinating I mean absolutely terrifying. Just looking at these images, it looks like the Milky Way. It's really hard to understand what it is we're looking at and how big these things really are in comparison to our planet here. When we gaze upon the Skull Nebula, we're not merely observing a distant celestial object. No, we're peering into the distant past. Take that in for a second. The light that reaches our eyes today has been traveling through space for millions of years, and then finally it reaches our eyes. This means we're seeing the nebula as it existed millions of years ago, not how it looks today. It's like looking back in time, witnessing a cosmic event that happened long before humans even existed. Next up, we have the Black Knight. Not to be confused with Martin Lawrence's The Black Knight, that's a little bit different. The most captivating claim here is that the Black Knight has been orbiting Earth for an astonishing 13,000 years. This idea, rooted in misinterpretation of a radio signal from the 1920s, suggests a highly advanced civilization with the technology to launch a satellite millennia ago. The mysterious radio signals, let's talk about that right off the bat. In the early 20th century, radio operators responded to these strange signals that were later attributed to the Black Knight satellite. These signals, which some believe were attempts at communication, only added to the mystery surrounding this object. Conspiracy theorists have suggested suggested that the signals being sent out in space were coming from the satellite itself, which would be crazy considering how old it is. They argue that this would imply a civilization capable of launching a satellite thousands of years ago, far surpassing our current technological capabilities. Maybe the civilization that built the pyramids were also creating the Black Knight satellite. Maybe they were busy, who knows? Imagine having Wi-Fi signals in the Great Pyramids. Oh, that'd be amazing. Candy Crush in the pyramids? Oh, we're set, that's life. Who knows what technology they had in the ancient Egyptian times, because we'll never know at this point. Next up, we have the Cat's Eye Nebula, which is just incredible to learn about. Take a look at all these pictures, okay? Believe it or not, but the iconic image of the Cat's Eye Nebula was captured by the Hubble Space Telescope back in 1994. That's 30 years ago. That's as old as me. Crazy. The Cat's Eye Nebula is a planetary nebula, a stage in the life cycle of a star like our sun, and it's a preview of what our sun might look like billions of years from now when it sheds out its outer layers. Spoiler alert, it's terrifying and really hot. This truly is a glimpse into the future, whereas the other ones are a glimpse into the past. The Cat's Eye Nebula is a preview of what our sun might look like billions of years from now. That's like the worst trailer for a movie ever. This must be terrifying for NASA to research and figure out exactly what this is, and if this could destroy planet Earth. Let's hope not.
The cosmic question mark is one of the strangest objects we've ever found in space. Discovered in 2007, you can see where this thing gets its name. Now, what exactly is it though? Well, it's a nebula, which are giant clouds of gas and dust. Some nebula are the birthplaces of stars, others are actually leftovers from stars that have died and exploded. But back to the cosmic question mark specifically, this nebula is part of a much larger structure called the RCW 120 Nebula, which is around 4,000 light years away. The nebula got its question mark shape because of the way the gas and dust are distributed around a central star, which is blasting out energy and causing the surrounding material to be shaped into that very distinctive curve. It looks so uncanny though. It looks like a clue left behind by a science fiction version of the Riddler. We don't really see many nebula like this one. Most nebula are pretty spread out or have a more random shape, so this one definitely stands out. Pulsars are some of the most extreme objects in space. These are highly magnetized, rotating neutron stars, which are basically the remains of massive stars that have exploded. Now, we found something even more mind-blowing though: pulsar planets. These are planets that orbit pulsars, and they probably shouldn't exist at all. Here's why. Pulsars are incredibly dense and give off intense radiation, which is bad news for any nearby planet. The radiation should fry anything in the vicinity, making it impossible for planets to form or survive. But yet, in 1992, astronomers discovered a planet orbiting a pulsar called PSR B1257+12, spotted about 1,000 light years away. And not just one planet, but three. They orbit the pulsar at incredibly close distances, and even though the pulsar blasts out radiation and particles, these planets somehow made it. The discovery was so unexpected that scientists weren't sure what to make of it at first. How could planets survive in such hostile conditions? Their existence raises a huge question too. If planets can endure the chaos of a supernova and orbit a dead star, what else might be out there clinging to life in the most impossible places? Deep inside a neutron star, where gravity crushes matter with unimaginable force, something truly bizarre forms: nuclear pasta, which is exactly as weird as it sounds. It's made of atomic nuclei, which are these super dense cores of atoms. Normally, atoms have a nucleus made of protons and neutrons with electrons floating around them, but in a neutron star, the pressure is so intense that atoms get squished together, stripping away the electrons and leaving only the raw, crammed together nuclei. Now, instead of staying in neat little spheres, these nuclei get forced into strange pasta-like shapes, and it's the strongest known material in the universe. A piece the size of a sugar cube would weigh more than 1 billion tons. That's how insanely dense this stuff is. Scientists think nuclear pasta forms in the crust of neutron stars, and because these stars have insanely strong magnetic fields, this weird material might be responsible for some of their strangest behavior, like sudden bursts of energy or weird glitches in their spin. We'll probably never get our hands on a piece of it, it, but studying it could help us understand the insane forces at play inside dead stars. Fermi bubbles are two absolutely massive blobs of energy stretching above and below the center of the Milky Way, each about 25,000 light years tall, basically the same size as our entire galaxy's disk, and somehow we didn't even know they existed until 2010. They don't give off visible light, so the only reason we found them at all is because they've been blasting out high energy gamma rays. So what are they? The best guess is that they're leftovers from some kind of ancient explosion. Maybe Sagittarius A, the supermassive black hole at the heart of the galaxy, gobbled up a huge amount of gas and then fired off an enormous burst of energy millions of years ago. Another idea is that they formed during a period of intense star formation where the new stars sent out powerful winds that carved them into shape. Whatever happened, the Fermi bubbles are proof that the Milky Way's core hasn't always been quiet. Something big happened ages ago and we're still seeing the after effects today. Tabby's star is one of the weirdest stars we've ever seen. It's about 1,470 light years away in the Cygnus constellation, and it's famous for doing something stars just aren't supposed to do. It dims in a way that makes no sense. Most of the time, when a star's brightness drops, it's because a planet orbits in front of it. That's normal, but Tabby's star doesn't follow any predictable pattern. Sometimes it dims by 15%, other times by nearly 22%, and it stays that way for random lengths of time before brightening again. That's just way too much dimming to be caused by a planet, and no natural explanation fully accounts for it. One idea is that a massive swarm of comets is blocking the light, but that doesn't quite fit the data. The wildest theory is that there is a Dyson sphere, an enormous structure surrounding the star designed to harvest its energy. That might sound like a stretch, but whatever's going on, it's not like anything we've ever seen before. When you think of planets and rings, Saturn is the obvious go-to, but in 2017 astronomers discovered that Oumuamua, a dwarf planet way out in the Kuiper belt, has its own ring system, making it the first known dwarf planet to have one. That's weird enough on its own, but Oumuamua is already a strange little world. For starters, it's shaped like this elongated egg, as you can see. Thanks to how fast it spins, it completes a full rotation in just under 4 hours. That's ridiculously fast for something its size, and it's probably the reason why its ring exists in the first place. Oumuama's ring is only about 43 miles or 70 kilometers wide, and it orbits at a distance of about 1,400 miles or 2,300 kilometers from the dwarf planet itself. It also happens to line up almost perfectly with Oumuama's equator, which means it might have formed from a past collision. Maybe some ancient impact threw debris into orbit and over time it's settled into a ring, but if that's the case, why don't more dwarf planets have rings? Oumuamua might not be as lonely as we think though. If this tiny, fast spinning world has a ring, there is a strong possibility that other distant objects could have them too. We just haven't found them yet. Oumuamua also has 2 moons, which might help keep its ring in place, either by influencing its orbit or preventing the ring particles from drifting away. The Great Attractor is one of the biggest mysteries in astronomy. It's an enormous gravitational anomaly, meaning it's pulling galaxies toward it, including our own Milky Way. And it's happening at incredibly fast speeds. The pull is so strong that entire clusters of galaxies are moving toward it at around 14 million miles per hour. Strangely though, we can't actually see it. It's hidden behind the zone of avoidance, a region of the sky blocked by the Milky Way's thick clouds of dust and stars. And that means we know something is there, we're not totally sure what it is. Scientists think the Great Attractor could be some kind of massive supercluster of galaxies, but even that might not fully explain its ridiculous pull. Whatever's lurking in that blind spot though, it's reshaping the movements of entire galaxies, including our own. Galaxy X. That sounds like something out of a 1950s alien invasion movie, but it is real. It's what astronomers call a dark galaxy, meaning it barely emits any light. And that's a bit strange because galaxies are usually packed with stars and gas and dust, things that do glow. Galaxy X, though, is practically invisible. The only reason we know it exists is because of how it tugs on the Milky Way's outer stars. Back in 2009, astronomers noticed something weird. A group of stars was moving in a way that didn't make sense. Something massive had to be pulling on them. but nothing was there. That's when scientists realized an entire hidden galaxy might be lurking nearby. Galaxy X is thought to be made of mostly dark matter, which is believed to be this strange invisible substance that makes up most of the universe's mass but doesn't interact with light. So far, we haven't seen Galaxy X directly, but the math checks out. It should be there. If it is real, it could help us understand how galaxies form and how dark matter really works. Space is full of strange sights, but the Red Rectangle Nebula is definitely one of the weirdest. Located about 2,000 light years away in the Monoceros constellation, this nebula stands out because of its very unique shape. The red rectangle has what kind of shape? Yes, rectangular, gold star. It's not actually a perfect rectangle, but from our vantage point, it sure looks like one. The odd shape is believed to be caused by a binary star system at its center. These two stars are surrounded by a thick disk of dust and gas that gets illuminated, creating the bright red glow that we see. But it's not just the shape that's strange. The red rectangle also has a pair of mysterious bright lobes extending outward from the center. Scientists still aren't exactly sure what's causing them, but one theory is that the binary stars are blasting out radiation and matter, which creates these lobe thingies. In 2017, astronomers spotted something weird flying through the solar system. It was a long cigar-shaped object moving way too fast to be anything recognizable. They named it Oumuamua, a Hawaiian word meaning scout or messenger, and that's because this thing turned out to have come from very, very far away. It was the first known interstellar object to pass through our solar system, and not only did it look strange, but it accelerated as it left, which is not what space rocks usually do. Comets speed up because sunlight melts all the ice off of them, creating this jet-like effect. But Oumuamua didn't have a visible tail. There was no gas, no dust. It was just this silent, unexplained motion. That's why some scientists, including Harvard's Avi Loeb, seriously considered the idea that it might have been an alien probe. Fortunately, we only got to watch Oumuamua for a few weeks before it disappeared, leaving behind a lot more questions than answers.